The Montreal Firefighters Association, they've decided to endorse Mayor Valerie Plante in her bid for re-election. It's a very political move. It's a pronounced, open, out there political move. Let's find out more. Chris Ross is the president of the Montreal Firefighters Association. Chris, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us this morning. Hope everyone's doing well.
Listen, we're doing great, and listen, it's not lost on me. I remember back in the day, I forget what year it was, 2013, 2014, 2015. I remember the fire halls with stickers and signs, Denis Coderre as Mickey Mouse, a whole bunch of stuff attacking the then mayor at the time, and I know it had to do with pensions. Is it those old wounds that have led to your decision to endorse Valerie Plante?
It's definitely not old wounds. I would say it's past experience. We thought long and hard about whether we would get involved in politics and whether we would give our opinion. But when you saw how much the spotlight is coming out right now on public safety, to see all the promises that are being made of how he's a champion of public safety, well, we experienced 4 years of his leadership as mayor, and he attacked the fire department budget on a yearly basis. We lost over $40 million during his 4-year mandate. We lost firefighters, we lost fire trucks, we reduced staffing, we eliminated our public education department. So we couldn't stand idly by and watch him make all sorts of promises about being the champion of public safety. You know, he was there, he had the chance, and while he was mayor, he couldn't do it. So as a candidate, it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, and it's not something we're looking forward to working with again. As you mentioned, beyond that, labor relations were extremely difficult. There was absolutely no respect for municipal employees, no respect for Montreal firefighters, and is not the type of leader or boss that we're looking to have.
Now, despite all that, like you mentioned, you've just given us a litany of things that happened under the Coderre administration. It still wasn't a given that your association would do a public endorsement. Was that a difficult move for you and your members? Was there a lot of discussions? Do we go as far as showing up in press conference and T-shirts saying "Firefighters for Plante"? Was there a discussion about how far your endorsement would go?
There was a very long discussion. It was a long reflection on the possible consequences. One was the public, one was the candidates. And the more we looked at it, the more we said that, we work in Montreal. A lot of people are trying to make the diversion that, we don't live in Montreal. 2,400 of my members work in Montreal on a daily basis. Our health and safety has impacted us as much as the residents, if not more, based on the decisions that are made at the town hall. So at that point, when we sat back and looked at it, it became a no-brainer. Often it's a candidate against someone making promises, but now we've had two people that have had 4 years at the town hall. We were able to take back and make an objective measure of those years and say that we really want to continue with Valerie Plante as mayor of Montreal.
Do you feel you could be taking a risk here because, Coderre could end up being the mayor at the end of the day, and now then you're going to have to live with the mayor that you actively campaigned against?
Well, it was a risk whether he got elected and we supported him or didn't support him. So we calculated all of those risks and determined that we were going to assume our decision, and we're going to at least get the information out there so that the population can make public safety effectively one of their priorities. It really should be. You should be asking your candidates where they stand behind in terms of public safety. But we specifically thought we had to remind what happened during those years there. I mean, those were the years when you should have invested in the fire department and the police department, and that's not what we saw happening. So it's great to make promises now. But, you were there. You should have done it then. Don't make the promises now.
We're with Chris Ross, president of the Montreal Firefighters Association. They have endorsed Valerie Plante in her bid to be reelected as mayor of Montreal. Chris, with the coordination, right? Seeing the photo op, the T-shirts in front of the fire hall, all of that stuff. There must have been lots of discussions beforehand with Valerie Plante, with her team. Can you tell us about? Yeah.
Sure. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut the question.
Can you tell us what went into before making the public show of support? What went into that? How much did you talk with Valerie Plante and her team?
There wasn't a lot of exchange. It was more or less we advised them of our position and our vision for public safety in the future, and that we felt that they had the best vision and best track record. And that's really what we're measuring the candidates on, not what they're promising, but on what they did while they were in power. They were enthralled by that vision, and we decided we would announce it on the same day. And it was symbolic to announce it in front of a fire station. We are talking about public safety, and that's what my members do on a daily basis. We protect the safety and the lives of Montrealers.
There's a perception. Listen, it's my perception. I think a lot of people are on the same page as me that men are more inclined to vote for Coderre, women are more inclined to vote for Plante, and you've got firefighters, the manliest of all the professions, just as a general thing, and apologies for stereotypes there, but as a general perception, and now that Firefighters Association is saying, we're with Plante. Do you feel you could sway this election in a very important way for a mayoral candidate like Valerie Plante that has always tried to reach out to more men to get them on their side? Do you feel you're going to have sway in this campaign?
Well, our intention definitely was to sway it and in the very least correct the public record on what's happened in public safety. But, we're trying to influence a lot more based on public safety. That's where our expertise is. Our expertise is in protecting those citizens in Montreal. That's where we're trying to sway. We're trying to sway really on that. But I get your nuance in regards to the stereotypes, but our angle is definitely public safety.
You brought it up in one of your answers, and I know it's been a focus. 3/4 of firefighters in the city don't actually live in Montreal. I just want your thoughts here as we wrap up, Chris. How do we change that? How do we get? And it's not just firefighters. We hear about police officers. I think it's even worse for the police officers. I think it's like 85%. How do we change that? How do we get our firefighters to want to live in the city they work in?
Well, I don't believe it's a question of, what you want to live. Often it's a question of, what you can afford. And I think that's been one of the debates that's going on along one of the parties as well, too, is the affordability in Montreal and affordable housing. It just sort of comes down to that if you want to raise a family, have a large backyard, the salary of a Montreal firefighter doesn't exactly permit you to invest in that on the island of Montreal. It is sort of becoming more and more out of the reach. We have probably about 25% of our members that do live on the island. Many of them are property owners as well, that they own property on the island. But unfortunately, a large majority does choose to live off island, and I don't think that's unique to the fire department. I think that's probably a lot of municipal employees.
Chris, when the election is all said and done, come back on the show. You're a great voice. We should talk about other issues that impact firefighters and Montrealers in this city. Thanks for coming on the show.
You take care. Have a good day.
That's Chris Ross, president of the Montreal Firefighters Association. They have publicly endorsed Valerie Plante.